Today we'll discuss how things would go for the main trio during GTA 5's story if their main enemies never existed. I did a video earlier about Devin Weston and what if he was never around, and in the comments, I believe, of that video, someone asked me to do a video about what if none of the bad guys were ever around. So in this version of the storyline, there will simply be no Steve Haynes, no Devin Weston, no Wei Chang, no Stretch. So the first change comes in all the way after Trevor finds Michael during the mission Dead Man Walking. This mission sees Michael do some dirty work for the FIB, and I do still think that Michael would have to do this mission simply as a favor to Dave after he got back in the game. However, after this, I don't think that there would be any more missions for the FIB or Dave specifically. Since Steve is not around, he wouldn't be there to use Michael and the crew for his shady shit, such as the whole Mr. K situation, the FIB raid and whatnot. But Dave would then, after Dead Man Walking, choose to completely distance himself from Michael after warning him that he's no longer under Dave's protection as he got back into the criminal lifestyle. So with missions like By the Book and Three's Company never taking place, what would happen on Hood Safari and The Long Stretch? Well, I do think that The Long Stretch mission would happen, but they would do the deal with D and they would probably still get set up. However, I don't think that D would necessarily die since Stretch was the one to kill him in the original, or maybe Lamar would kill him after realizing that they're being set up. As for the mission Hood Safari, since Stretch is the one to arrange that whole thing on Grove Street, Lamar would never meet Trevor in this reality, and that mission would never happen. So after the Merryweather heist, missions like Blitz Play and all of the work for Devin Weston simply would never happen for obvious reasons. Trevor and Michael would still go on the run, because I didn't erase Martin Madrazo from this story as he's not a main antagonist per se, so that whole storyline would still happen. The gang would be in the desert and they'd still get rid of the O'Neill brothers, but the Polito score and the Mission Monkey business would never happen as that was all work for Steve Haynes. Upon getting back to Los Santos, the gang would start working on the big one and things would be put on hold for that because Trevor would still find out the truth about Brad. And before I continue this storyline, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the video if you're enjoying it right now. Also, check out my second Kingdom Hearts channel. That's where I do that sort of content if that's something you're interested in. Michael would never get kidnapped by the Chinese in this reality, of course, and he would never meet Solomon Richards because Devin Weston's not around, so that's a downside to this plot. However, unlike in some of my previous videos, Solomon Richards would be able to continue with his life in peace without Devin Weston on his ass trying to take the studio from him. Of course, the FIB raid, the wrap-up, and Lamar Down would never happen, and Michael would still get his family back, and he would never be involved with the premiere of Meltdown, which would go smoothly. Solomon would be able to release the movie in peace, and none of that whole shit show at Michael's house would ever happen. And sadly, in this reality, also, Michael and Trevor didn't get that chance to talk shit out during the wrap-up, as that mission never happened. And while the crew still would go for the big one, and while the heist would be a success, not only would the big one in this reality be the final mission, but Michael and Trevor wouldn't ever take care of their differences properly, and instead they would probably just keep their distance from each other, at least for a few years, and maybe, just maybe sometime down the line, they would be able to leave the past in the past. But that's up for debate, and that's up for you guys to decide what would happen to their dynamic in the comments after this storyline. And with that said, I want to thank you for watching this video. Leave your what if suggestions in the comments down below. Make sure that there are actually some interesting suggestions that would make for a good story. Until next video stream, bye bye.